Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about the ghost ships. That is what was the most fascinating thing to me. Like these ships that people just vanish on. Like the ship
what's
is
happening?
fine, but the
Right.
people are gone.
Yeah, what do you think's happening?
Well, I listened to like a podcast on it, and it made logical sense to me, rational logical sense, which, I don't love rational logical things all the time. I like to believe in the paranormal, but it made complete sense to me that, a ship full of men would be floating on the sea. They, for some reason, lose power to their ship or think they're about to capsize, or, something takes them down. And then all of a sudden they're stuck. And then these natural water patterns just kind of keep them circulating in on this conveyor belt in this circle, so they can't ever get anywhere they're trying to go. And then they, if they run out of fresh water and food, they are likely to try to drink salt water, because after a while your thirst becomes unbearable and you have to resort to something. And then they turn into this, they have like the saltwater crazies or whatever they're called, where it's just ultra dehydration, and then they jump in the water and die.
Okay, but the ones that I saw was like their food supply was like completely intact and everything.
I think that's just pirates, right? Or
Like,
something.
but it would. Let's go with the UFOs or something crazy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's still something to be said for like possible UFO activity, especially when it comes to something like Flight 19. I mean, there's lots of other reasons why Flight 19 disappeared, but the fact that it's never been found is kind of shocking to me after all of these years. I think maybe they could have gotten just sucked up by a UFO, and that's why they were never found again.
There's always the animal that's like, there was a dog, there was a cat, there was a bird. Like the animals are always still on the ships, but
hey, it says, yo, aliens.
exactly.
I mean, really, let's be real. That one of the theories that I think is very possible is potentially a wormhole.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah, a quick jump to another dimension.
Ooh, let's go down this rabbit hole.
Because where do they go if they haven't been found? Now, what's interesting about some of these shipwrecks and plane crashes is they're just finding some of these from 100 years ago. So, I mean, we're talking about a huge expanse of area that we have not completely explored, right?
Well, I wonder if, I don't know. I also wondered, like, does somebody have a website? Are we tracking all of the things that are down there? Because I feel like the same like groups that go exploring find the same things over and over again. Like, mark this shit down on a map so that we can stop exploring the same shit over and over again.
They say that what they've documented is in the past 500 years, at least 50 ships and 20 aircraft have vanished in the triangle, most without a trace. No wreckage, no bodies, no nothing. But how many more do we not? I mean, before they had all the standard aviation tools that documented this stuff, how many more? We know that Christopher Columbus wrote about it in his journals because he talked about the Sargassum Sea. Did you guys read about the Sargasso?
Was it the Santa Maria that got lost in it also?
Yeah.
The algae?
Yes, the algae. Yep. Which has confused people for years because it can slow them down and it gets tangled, right? And everything.
And then it becomes toxic, right?
And it releases this noxious gas. Yeah. Which is interesting.
So maybe that's why people jump off the boat, because of the algae.
Could be.
But why it doesn't?
They're like high on some weird sort of noxious gas, and they just decide to jump overboard.
Let's go for a swim.
Or things like rogue waves, right? A rogue wave hits your ship, you think it's capsizing, so you jump off because you don't want to go down with the ship, and then it doesn't end up capsizing, and then you're just lost at sea because you accidentally jumped off your ship. Like, I think that's a possibility too. Panic will make people do crazy things, you know?
It will, yes, but and really, you know, in no time, a human body would decompose and it would be, you know, there'd be no remains left, right?
Yeah, a
But we
shark would
should
eat
be
it.
able to find, yeah, we should be able to find the remnants of a ship or a airplane.
So yeah, maybe let's talk about the airplanes. How about the planes that have gone
We're
through
going so many directions. Our viewers are like, wow, my brain hurts. Slow down, you guys.
This is so exciting.
Should we talk about sirens, maybe? I don't know. What about the planes that go through these like wormholes and like time like is
Like
fast?
Lear's style, huh?
Time is what? Flat?
It's like faster. Like so they're traveling from one destination to the other and they should be like running out of like
Yes.
losing
Uh-huh.
gas.
Hmm.
Um or in a different spot, but they end up getting closer to their destination than they should be. Help me out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's several people that have talked about that.
How would a plane get lost if it gets to its destination quicker? Like you
No,
mean like it would then? I don't know.
yeah, what she's saying that by going through the wormholes, there's some unexplained phenomenon happening when they are flying, they're running out of gas, and then something happens, whether they move through a wormhole or it's that electronic fog that she was talking about, where they move ahead 100 miles and they only had enough gas for 20 miles, and they can't explain this like
Um,
warp in time. That's happened.
Gotcha.
Several people have documented that actually.
So
That's interesting.
can wormholes happen like not in space? Like it can happen obviously here.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories about it, and some people, you know, don't believe that it actually is happening. For those of you that have watched Skinwalker Ranch, it's really fascinating if you haven't. They believe that there's a wormhole maybe happening on that property. Um, but yes, it can happen in this dimension. Yeah, here on Earth, anywhere. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just been one theory, that down in the Bermuda Triangle somewhere there might be a wormhole or multiple wormholes. That's why things and people and ships and planes have just disappeared without a trace.
Or I saw another story about a plane that landed. It like came out into the radar out of nowhere. It like popped in, and it was supposed to be landing in like 1995, and it was like 1992.
So
It
that sounds
traveled
like a
back in
time warp.
time.
Yeah, and then it like ended up like the pilot was like, "Don't approach the aircraft," and then it like flew away after it found out what time it was.
It sounds like just a crazy person. Why
That sounds
wouldn't
like
he?
well, that sounds like a time warp. I mean, I've heard stories of, you know, people who walk into a bookstore. You know, it's modern day walking into a bookstore. They walk out and it's 1950s. The cars are different. The people are dressed different. You know, it's 60, 70 years ago.
Wait,
Um,
I love the idea of that, but I don't know that I don't. I just don't. Are there real accounts of that?
oh, yes.
Really?
Yes. But I'm curious about, a time warp in the Bermuda Triangle. Like that's interesting.
So time traveling, that's a thing.
Yeah, I believe it's a thing.
Really? Karen, gosh, you're full of all this fun
I
stuff.
I think it could be a thing. I don't know how it looks without some sort of machinery.
You mean like a time machine or something?
Like the DeLorean. Yeah, like I
Back to the
just
future.
I can only
Oh my god.
See, but for me, it actually makes more sense that like a wormhole could actually create time travel, or like something like in outer space. That makes more sense to me. But like a DeLorean, that seems very
or like
fantasy.
getting
Take you to
hit
another
by a
space and
bolt of
time. Yeah.
lightning or something. Like I don't know. I feel like some sort of crazy event would have to cause it. I just can't imagine walking through a door and then all of a sudden you're in a different decade and then not just walking back through the door the other direction. Like what? Okay. Like wouldn't you be so confused? You walk through a library
Yes.
door and you're in 1960. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
just turn your ass back around and walk back through the door?
The incident I heard about that one was they did, and they had walked out to the street. All the cars were different, the people were dressed different, and they kind of like came to, went back into the store. The store wasn't a bookstore, it was a drugstore. And then they were like, where am I? So it really was this time slip, this time warp.
Did they get back? I mean, they obviously got back to our age, or are they telling you this story 50 years later?
They did. I don't remember how it ended.
Wow.
But yeah, that was
Interesting.
This is taking us in a lot of different directions. I feel like it's opening up a lot of different conversations for future episodes. We've got like the Twilight Zone happening over here in the comments.
I know they're all like, okay. Well, but I mean, if that's the case and there's a wormhole in the Bermuda Triangle, then
Yeah.
that would explain a lot of disappearances with no wreckage or, maybe those Flight 19 airplanes just flew into a different decade and they're hanging out in 2062 or something.